This coin, well, it surprised everyone when a single 1981 Washington quarter in near mint state sold for a staggering $2,300 last month in an online auction, graded MS-67 by PCGS, no less. You wouldn't expect that, would you? See the problem here? At first glance, it's just another 81 quarter, but there's something hiding in plain sight. Now, here's what you never hear about this issue. A tiny die clash on the obverse that can multiply its value by tenfold. I've seen plenty of these, but only one in 1,000 shows the telltale clash lines between George's chin and the rim. What's wild is that most collectors miss this detail, but it makes all the difference. Here's exactly what to look for when you pull one out of your pocket. Well, dust it off, anyway. Check the obverse around the rim at about 7 o'clock. If you see faint horizontal striations that don't match wear, that's a die clash, plain as day. And over on the reverse, above the eagle's left wing, scan for a tiny dot, almost like a fleck of lint. That is actually a die crack that slipped into circulation on fewer than 500 pieces. You'll want to check your collection for this because, here's the thing, a standard cleaned MS-65 quarter might fetch $8. But that same coin with these error traits jumps to $200, and an MS-67. It's a six-figure wonder. At first glance, nothing jumps out. But look again. And then collectors notice something odd when a dealer in Virginia pulled a roll of these quarters from a dusty cigar box at a flea market. He thought they were all common until a keen-eyed friend pointed out one with the die crack. A bonus coin they'd overlooked. That discovery scenario is classic. Someone buys a bag of face value halves and quarters, and boom, a prize in the pile. Collector stories like that aren't just fairy tales. They happen every year. I've even heard about a family in Ohio who found two in a batch of 500, each trading hands for over $3,000 in private sales. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can this be worth thousands? Well, here's a red flag. Most so-called proof-like 1981 quarters you see online are just business strikes that picked up a mirror-like finish by accident. The real proof-like examples were part of a sub-mintage run of only about 10,000, struck on polished planchets. Here's the authentication tip you can't ignore. Hold the coin at a low angle under strong light. If the fields look like glass with a mirror shine that goes deep, not just surface level, you're looking at the genuine article. Anything less, and you're stuck with $6. Speaking of values, let's break it down so you have realistic expectations. In circulated grades, VF 30 to 50 Australian dollars. These fly under the radar at 25 cents to $1.50 a piece. Practically giveaway territory because nobody's hunting them yet. Then you hit 58 Australian dollars, and the market trend context kicks in. Demand's been rising steadily over the past 5 years, pushing those into the $10 to $15 range. But once you get into the mint state tier, MS-60 to MS-63, you're looking at $25 to $45, and they're surprisingly common in that bracket. Move up to MS-64 and MS-65, and you're in $75 to $150 territory, assuming no errors. But give me that die clash and crack combo in MS-65, and it's $450. MS-66? We're talking $1,200. And as that MS-67 sale shows, there's serious upside if you hit the jackpot. Now, here's where things get interesting. Market trend context shows that from 2018 to 2022, the average price for standard MS-65 rose from $40 to $90, a spike driven by the influx of modern coin enthusiasts looking for low-mintage oddities. But this crash in 2023 saw values dip back to $70, making now a sweet spot to start hunting before the next upswing. See that cycle? Well, coin values are like waves. You ride the trough and aim for the crest. Here's a surprising detail you never hear about. Some of these die clashes align with the godless quarter conspiracy from the 70s, meaning die polishers secretly tried to scrub out "In God We Trust" on experimental pieces. A handful of 1981 dies still bore those polish marks, creating coins with barely legible mottos. They're so rare that only 3 confirmed examples exist, and in 2024 one sold privately for over $20,000. That's not your everyday find, but it shows there could be other hidden quirks waiting in your spare change. You'll want to check your collection for this, because these coins are still wandering loose, unrecognized. Most folks toss them into bins thinking they're junk, But here's exactly what to look for. Die clash lines on the obverse, the minute dot on the eagle's wing. And if you're really lucky, a ghostly erasure of lettering in the motto. It's these little surprises that make coin hunting addictive. At the same time, watch out for polished-up fakes. I've seen slab coins claiming MS67 with mirror-like fields, but the lettering's too sharp, the relief too high. That's a laser enhancement. If the strike is too perfect and the surfaces look too new, you may be dealing with a counterfeit. On real 1981 quarters, you should see slight softness in the high points and a consistent luster, not a glassy sheen that screams studio finish. Now, picture this. You're at a small local show, and someone offers to trade you a couple of 81s for $1 each. At that price, the risk is minimal, but the payoff could be massive. I once traded 3 generic proof tokens for a small paper bag of these quarters at a regional expo, and 2 weeks later, one of them netted me $750. That's the collector discovery story I live for. Most folks miss this detail, but it makes all the difference. So when you get home tonight, dust off that old change roll and give every single 1981 quarter a close look. Check the rim chatter, the wing dot, the motto clarity. Because, honestly, you never know when you'll find the one that changes everything. And that's why I keep hunting. The 1970 United States quarter dollar is one of those coins that has captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters alike. At first glance, it may look like just another 25-cent piece you'd find in your pocket change, but certain rare examples of this coin have fetched thousands, and in extremely rare cases, even been valued in the realm of millions, due to minting errors, historical significance, and collector demand. Let's start with the basics. The 1970 quarter features the familiar image of George Washington on the obverse, or front, with the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date 1970. The reverse side carries the image of a bald eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows and olive branches. It also includes the inscriptions United States of America and quarter dollar. Like most quarters from that era, it's composed of a clad sandwich of copper and nickel. But what makes this ordinary-looking coin so extraordinary is the presence of extremely rare minting errors, proof strikes, and a very specific variety that has made waves in the numismatic world. Perhaps the most famous of these is the 1970 S-proof Washington quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter. Yes, you heard that right. A U.S. quarter was accidentally struck on a coin from Canada. This particular coin was discovered with remnants of the original Canadian design visible underneath the American design. The mix-up is believed to have happened at the San Francisco Mint, which produced proof coins. This incredibly rare mint error gained national attention when it was listed on eBay by a coin dealer for $35,000. Since then, its fame has only grown, with many believing its value could soar into the hundreds of thousands or potentially millions, depending on future auctions and collector interest. That coin alone became a symbol of how an overlooked pocket change item could be worth a life-changing amount of money. Another category of rare 1970 quarters includes double die obverse, where the design elements are stamped twice due to a misalignment during the minting process. On some of these coins, you can clearly see doubling in the word Liberty or in the date itself. These types of errors are always sought after in the numismatic community, and their value increases dramatically depending on the severity of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Condition plays a massive role in determining a coin's worth. Coins graded by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC with a high mint state, MS rating, especially MS67 or higher, can command impressive prices. For a 1970 quarter in pristine condition with no errors, the value might range from $10 to $50. However, if that coin features a prominent error, such as a double die or off-center strike, the value can shoot up to several $1,000s or more. Now, back to the truly jaw-dropping finds. The aforementioned 1970 S-proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter is not just rare because of the error, but also because of its proof status. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and are struck using specially polished dies, which give them a mirror-like finish. They're not intended for circulation, which makes any kind of error in a proof coin especially rare and valuable. The fact that this coin slipped through the rigorous quality control of the proof minting process makes it a one-in-a-million type of discovery. Let's talk numbers. While a regular 1970 quarter may not be worth more than its face value in most cases, certain examples have fetched 4 to 5 figures at auctions. A high-grade 1970 D quarter with no errors might sell for $75 to $200. A double die variety or an off-metal strike could be worth $1,000 to $5,000. But the legendary 1970 S proof on the Canadian quarter, that one could realistically be worth over $100,000 today, and if ever put up for auction with the right audience, it could potentially exceed the $1 million mark. So what should you look for if you have a 1970 quarter in your collection or pocket change? Start by checking the mint mark. A D below the date signifies it was minted in Denver, while no mint mark means it was minted in Philadelphia. An S indicates San Francisco, which is where most proof coins come from. If you see an S, you're already holding something potentially interesting. Then look for oddities, doubling in the text or numbers, weird edges, misalignments, or even signs of another coin underneath. If anything looks unusual, don't spend it. Get it checked by a professional. Another thing to consider is the rising interest in coin collecting in general. In recent years, thanks to social media and popular YouTube channels focused on coins, more and more people are realizing that they may be sitting on hidden treasures. This increased demand drives prices up, especially for coins with fascinating backstories or verified errors. The 1970 quarter has become one of the poster children of this collecting boom. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that stand out due to minting anomalies, low mintage numbers, or unique historical context. While the U.S. Mint doesn't often make mistakes, when they do, those coins become rare treasures. The 1970 quarter has all the right ingredients: a classic design, a memorable error story, and limited verified examples in circulation. Even if you don't find a 1970 S struck on a Canadian quarter, collecting coins like these can still be incredibly rewarding. It's a way of holding history in your hands. Think about it. Each coin has passed through countless hands, through decades of transactions, carrying with it stories you'll never know. And once in a while, one of those coins turns out to be a hidden gem worth thousands or even millions. So the next time you're digging through your change jar, take a closer look at any 1,970 quarters you find. Examine the date, the mint mark, the lettering, and the details. Get a magnifying glass or loupe. Study the surfaces. If you notice anything unusual, especially signs of another design underneath, heavy doubling, or a strange metal color, you might have a valuable coin on your hands. There's something magical about the idea that a small, everyday object could secretly be worth a fortune. The story of a 1970 quarter reminds us that incredible finds are still out there, waiting to be discovered by sharp eyes and curious minds. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a beginner just getting into the hobby, this is one coin you should definitely learn about, look for, and treasure. And remember, coins are more than just money. They're miniature time capsules, pieces of art, and sometimes they're tickets to incredible discoveries. Keep hunting. Your $1 million quarter might be hiding in plain sight.